Championship, and the ring is going wild as this 21-year-old Panamanian Roberto Duran being cheered and cheered all around the ring.
A crunching right sends Cartier to the canvas here in round 10. The referee wisely stops the fight to prevent the game Cartier from receiving further punishment. Kid Gavilan scores a 10th round knockout over Walter Cartier in Madison Square Garden.
8, 9, all of us is up. Arguello might pull off a huge upset here. As all of us.
This kid's smart enough to take advantage of it. He is smart, isn't it? He's hurt. He's hurt. Sanchez, where the referee's stop it. The referee's going to stop it. That's it. There is a new featherweight world champion. WBC version Salvador Sanchez.
Three devastating rights to the head, and Alerty goes down. The referee picks up the count, but flashes out goal. Carlos Ortiz successfully defends his world lightweight crown against challenger Flash Alorde. Ortiz will go down in boxing annals as one of the greatest lightweight champions of all time. The jolting left hook staggers Pizarro, and Ortiz opens up here in the 12th round. Pizarro tries to hold while Ortiz attempts to break free to throw those dynamite bombs at him.
Oh, and Taylor wobbled by a right hand. Chavez, look at Meldrick Taylor trying to get it close and hang on. And Meldrick Taylor goes down. Meldrick Taylor is down. He will beat the count, and he will survive this round.
And the ring is going wild as this 21-year-old Panamanian.
Gavilan scores a 10th round knockout.
Arguello might pull off a huge upset.
Carlos Ortiz successfully defends.
Champion, WBC version Salvador Sanchez.
There is a cliche that arises whenever boxing is discussed. The idea that all great fighters are the product of the gutter. That only the truly deprived, whose very existence and right to live have been challenged on a daily basis, possesses that will to survive and the killer instinct essential to success in a hard-boiled world of the professional ring. Like all cliches, it contains at least an element of truth. Certainly in the case of these great fighters, the grinding poverty on their streets helped forge the legend of their indestructibility.
I remember when I was young. This is where I grew up. It isn't much, but this is where I began. I was born in this gym called Maranon. My first amateur fight was here. I got in the ring and knocked the guy out in 2 rounds, and the people began to throw money at me. In my second fight, I fought 3 rounds against a guy named Antonio Cabeza. and I lost. Then I fought a boxer named Emilio Baña, and he beat me. Then I fought again and lost again. I was awful in those days. But then I won 14 straight fights by knockout in this gym. This is where it all started, in this gym. But in another small gym on the other side of town is where I learned to fight. Here is where I was born. Here is where I was created. Some of the best boxers in the world came out of this gym.
This is my neighborhood. We used to fight in the street with the kids. And then I never thought I'll become a fighter. But I was born in so much poverty. And poverty that all over the world we have all kinds of poverties. But I thank God that I found something to give me hope. And boxing was the sport. I love boxing. And I appreciate that God gave me the opportunity to do what I did. Until the 5th grade, I was doing good until my father told me that I had to quit school, something that I really like and I enjoyed it because I believe in education. And because my father couldn't afford it, I had to go to the gym once, and I went one day and I loved it. And that was the end of my poverty.
My father one day came over to me and said, "Pop, you get dressed and I'm going to take you out someplace." I got dressed right away. He took me by my hand and he took me down we walked down. I used to live in a 4-story coal flat building. So we walked down and we walked west to Park Avenue and 28th Street. When we got there, he took me to a bar. And he told me to wait outside the bar, that he was going to buy me a soda, and he'd be right back. He came back a couple of minutes later with the soda, and he said, "Well, you watch here through the window. I'm going to see a fight." And that particular fight was the Jersey Joe Walker, Joe Louis, first fight that they had, which Joe Louis beat him on a controversial decision. Jersey Joe Walker knocked him down twice, and but Joe Louis got the fight, the decision. The following day, I discovered this boys club, Madison Square Boys Club, which happens to be a block away from my house where I lived. And I went in there, and I joined, and this person took me to the gym. While I was in the gym, he was showing me things, people playing basketballs and so forth. I heard this magnificent noise that captured my attention. And when I looked up, it was in the mezzanine. This kid, this particular person was punching this bag, the light punching bag. And he just mesmerized me, it hypnotized me. I went up like if I was dumbfounded, I went up, hypnotized, to see this kid punch this light bag. And I watched him punch the bag for about 15 minutes, and I was hypnotized.
When Julio was a boy, he enjoyed playing baseball and soccer. But in school, some of the big kids would pick on him, and he would knock them out with 1 or 2 punches. Everyone began to see in him the talents of a great fighter.
When I was young, my favorite sports were soccer and baseball. But then I met a man named Juan Antonio Lopez, and he took me into the boxing gym for the first time. Immediately, I fell in love with it.
When I began to learn the ways of the world as a young boy in Cuba, I would go and work with my father cutting wood and sugarcane. That's where I learned to use the machete and developed my bolo punch. I remember always visiting my father's friend. His name was Fernando Valido. He wanted to be my manager, and he would always listen to me talk and brag, and he would say to me, "You are too young to be as good as you say." And I would tell him that all I needed was the opportunity, and I would be the champion of the world.
My name is Jose Sulaiman. I'm the president of the World Boxing Council, the WBC, which represents 139 countries of the world and 9 continental federations. We were founded about 30 years ago, and now we believe to be one of the largest boxing organizations in the world. Well, Latin boxing, I believe, that is very different from boxing in the rest of the world. If we talk about boxing in the United States, I believe that American fighters have a pattern, and very especially in the last decade, when there is a tremendous influence by amateur boxing. So most of the American boxers have just about the same pattern, the same style, the same moves in the ring. They do have good corners, and the corners tell them exactly how to perform and do the action in every one of their fights. The Latin boxing is very different. Every country has a different style. Every boxer in Latin America has a tremendous heart, a determination and courage. They are very inventive when they are fighting. They themselves try to look what is it that they should do, but what you can see easily in the Latin Americans is that they go forward. They go for the kill. They have no barriers, and they have such a big heart that they can just die in the ring.
The fight of the week, your Saturday night cavalcade of sports feature.
Remember the Gillette cavalcade of sports? And remember the fighters who were served up to us more times than fish on Fridays, or Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday or Saturday? All of them fight nights. The 23-inch black and white miniaturized boxer who most readily comes to mind to those of us to whom TV was the babysitter of our youth was a fighter named Kid Gavilan, the Cuban Hawk, who appeared on national TV no less than 34 times. The Cuban Kid was a show and a showboat unto himself, the equal of another early Cuban television favorite, Desi Arnaz, as he rumbaed and danced his way through his fights in sort of an early day form of fistic breakdancing. And then, for good measure, he would throw in his bow gesture, the bolo punch, developed in the sugarcane fields of his youth, sort of a cross between an uppercut and a softball pitcher's underhanded delivery.
I used to cut sugarcane in the field. I used to cut sugarcane with a machete, and I used to cut. That giving me the bolo punch, the movement, same punch. Kick Gavilan, to me, was a magnific, like they say. Oh, what a fighter.
He fought so many times. He fought everybody. He could take anybody to the limit. You could be there for a long fight with him, and he was usually on top.
The winner, a new world welterweight champion, Kid Gavilan. And the Gavilan fans are yelling for him to give it a Graham.
The fight's over. It's a split decision. One judge votes for Graham. The other judge and referee vote for Gavilan. The winner is Gavilan. Graham is stunned. He can't believe it. He thought he won. Graham's fans are angry. A fight starts in the exit aisle, and the police move in and stop it.
In rounds 4 through 9, both men landed again and again. Here in the 10th and final round, Cartier has a slight lead on all scorecards. Jolting punches by Gavilan, and Cartier comes right back. A good right by the Kid. Cartier looks hurt. A lightning left staggers Cartier. A crunching right sends Cartier to the canvas here in round 10. The referee wisely stops the fight to prevent the game Cartier from receiving further punishment. Kid Gavilan scores a 10th round knockout over Walter Collier in Madison Square Garden.
Robinson meets leading welterweight contender Kid Gavilan. Although a non-title fight, both men fought furiously and had the Yankee Stadium crowd in a frenzy.
In my fight with Robinson, which was a 10-round fight, he told me that I had surprised him and that it was the toughest fight he ever had. He said he hit me with the hardest right hand he had ever thrown. He thought he had killed me, but my only response was to come back and exchange more punches with him.
3 weeks later in Philadelphia, Cuba's Kid Gavilan is given a shot at Ray's welterweight crown. Gavilan is out to revenge his loss to Robinson of 1 year ago. The 29-year-old Robinson is giving away 6 years to his younger challenger. Both men perform brilliantly as they exchange savage punches again and again. When the final bell sounds, Ray Robinson is still champion of the world.
I remember another great Latin fighter who began his career just about the time Gavilan's was winding down. His name is Carlos Ortiz. He was a clever fighter who could baffle, hurt, or just wear down an opponent.
When I was coming up, there was a lot of good fighters. I used to follow a lot of good fighters, like Sugar Ray Robinson, Willie Pep, Sandy Sattler. All those guys were tremendous fighters. Ike Williams, I used to hear about. Bo Jack, you know. I used to see these guys in films or in actual fighting. I took a little bit from each of them.
Carlos Ortiz saw one fight after the other right in this town at Shea Stadium, Madison Square Garden. Carlos Ortiz in his time was what Chavez is today.
When I was boxing, I mean, everything I did was for the sake of myself and for the sake of my country. I wanted my country to be recognized. Little Puerto Rico, where I came from, you know, it's a small island. I wanted to give Puerto Rico a good name. By winning and being successful in boxing, I did that.
Ortiz has been a professional since 1955, when he scored an impressive first-round knockout against Harry Bell in New York. Ortiz pouring it on here in the 10th round. Both men throwing bombs here in the final round of the fight. And there's the bell, ending the fight. The judges award the decision to Carlos Ortiz, who now moves up the world lightweight ladder.
A jolting left hook staggers Pizarro, and Ortiz opens up here in the 12th round. Pizarro tries to hold, while Ortiz attempts to break free to throw those dynamite bombs of his. Pizarro continues to hold, and the referee must separate the two men. A punishing left hook to the body sends Pizarro down. The referee sends Ortiz to a neutral corner and picks up the count. Pizarro looks hurt, but he wants to continue. But wisely, the referee steps in and stops the fight to prevent the challenger from receiving further punishment. Carlos Ortiz defends his lightweight crown by stopping a game and courageous Johnny Pizarro in Pittsburgh.
And now Ramos is hurt. Ortiz all over Sugar Ramos. Zach Clayton sends Carlos Ortiz to a neutral corner. It's scored as a knockdown. Clayton is yelling out the number. Ortiz moves in. Lefts and rights to the body by Carlos Ortiz. There's no let-up in Ortiz's attack. Ramos appears helpless. Zach Clayton, watching the action, steps in and stops the fight. Carlos Ortiz has defended his world lightweight title with a 4th-round technical knockout over Sugar Ramos.
Ortiz has Elorde covering up. Elorde in trouble. Three devastating rights to the head, and Elorde goes down. The referee picks up the count, but flashes out cold. Carlos Ortiz successfully defends his world lightweight crown against challenger Flash Elorde. Ortiz will go down in boxing annals as one of the greatest lightweight champions of all time. The left eye of Ramos has been cut very badly by the crisp punching of Ortiz. Referee Billy Kahn had the doctor check the cut at the end of the last round. But now Kahn wants to stop the fight, but Ramos insists he's all right. Nevertheless, Billy halts the action. He's worried about Ramos's eye. Reluctantly, Kahn permits the fight to continue. Ortiz still on the attack, never giving Ramos any rest. Referee Billy Kahn moves in and stops it. In his opinion, serious eye damage might result if the contest continued. Carlos Ortiz successfully defends his World Lightweight Championship in Mexico City.
Once when I went over to Philadelphia to fight this kid by the name of Len Matthews. I mean, this kid was beating the whole world apart. He had about 38 knockouts and 39 wins. They told me that I was crazy for fighting this kid in Philadelphia. I used to fight a good fighter in their own hometown. So that's why they used to call me crazy, because nobody ever did that and came out alive, you know. It was Len Matthews in Philadelphia that gave me the roughest fight in my career.
Ruben Olivares was one of my idols. I always admired him, and I knew I was going against a great champion. But I knew also that he was 33 years old, and I was 20 years old. You know, I had the youth within me. And in the early fight, I felt that I was behind points because, like I said, Olivares, he was a great champion. I knew that I was behind points, and in the 9th round, my trainer told me, Alexis, we're behind in points. You better do something. You better come up with something good. And I put myself together. I was able to block all the noise and concentrate and using a little more speed. And like I said, because Oliveira was 33 years old and I was 21 years old, 20 years old going to 21, I was young. I put my punches together, and all of a sudden I hit him in the chin, and I went down. I was mad by then, and I say, stand up and let's keep fighting.
8, 9, Oliveras is up. Arguello might pull off a huge upset here, as Oliveras was stunned, ran right into a left hook. Arguello gets new life. Oliveras ran into a solid left hook that floored him, but he's coming back. There's a long way to go, only 1 minute.
He went down with a uppercut, right uppercut, and by then I was cool off, and I said, man, don't stand up, man, stay down there, man. I just want to be champion. And the miracle happened. The guy stood there. The referee was trying to count as slow as he could. 1, 2. I remember the referee was Dick Young. I hate him because it took so damn long that I almost thought that he never would have finished the damn 10 seconds. But it finally happened. I won the first championship of the world. And can you believe an Indian Nicaraguan guy championship with the championship of the world? You know what I wanted to do? Go to the Ruben Oliveira's dressing room and thank the guy because he gave me the opportunity. I went to the guy's dressing room and I said, Oliveira, thank you. And I remember I got on my knees and I said, Ruben, I promise you that I'll defend this belt with the last drop of my blood.
This too is a ritual. Every man has a dream of glory in his heart, but who will leap over the fence and meet it face to face? Sometimes the very young one, sometimes the dreams come true.
No ha habido caídas todavía. Buena derecha, cayó Kobayashi. Cayó. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 y se acabó la pelea. Se acabó la pelea, noquearon a Kobayashi. Noquearon a Kobayashi en el 7º asalto. Un ataque despiadado de Duran.
Roberto Duran came into New York. The first time I saw him fight here was against Ken Buchanan, who was a champion. And he was a beautiful, clean, young kid. And Ray Arcel was in his corner, and he put in a performance that has never been surpassed any time before or after.
I think Roberto Duran was one of the greatest fighters that ever lived. He had everything. Roberto Duran was a fighter's, a manager's dream as far as fighters were concerned. He was rough, he was tough. He knew a little bit about boxing, and whenever you wanted him to fight, he fought. He went into the ring to fight. Great champion. Although we were slated to fight each other, we never got to fight each other.
No, Roberto, it's like, you know, the whole thing where he still wants to go after the bell, you know. I mean, I remember I was watching him years ago, and the bell would ring. Most fighters just turn and walk away. Roberto still wants you for dinner.
And a good comeback in the 13th by the champion. What a good fight, and the bell's gone, and they're fighting after the bell. And Buchanan hurt with a low punch. This is going to cause some confusion here.
Pues sí,
When we were at the press conference, someone asked Buchanan why he didn't bother to watch the films of me. He said that I was too slow. So I trained very hard. My trainer, Freddie Brown, put me in great condition, so the day the fight came, I was in such great shape, he knew he couldn't do anything to me. He realized who was the better boxer and puncher, and when he saw that I was on top of him, manhandling him, he realized he was outboxed. Also, the referee helped them a lot. He could have stopped the fight earlier, even before the body shot that hurt him. You can see that Buchanan was taking a beating, and when he realized he couldn't do anything to me, he used the excuse that I hit him with a low blow. In many other rounds, while trying to go for the body, I did hit him with low blows, but that's because he was so tall. But I was hurting him to the body, and he knew it. And when he found an excuse to get me to stop, he fell, and it was over.
Duran has been landing long right hands that have kept champion Buchanan off balance. Watch for a pulverizing right hand to the body at the bell, which will send Buchanan crumbling to the canvas. Buchanan is writhing in pain, complaining with his hit low as his handlers rush into the ring.
Out of all the people in the world, not only boxers, but doctors, lawyers, athletes, whatever your calling is, I believe God chooses some of them to be the best. He doesn't make them his favorites, but he makes them examples. Edison, for example, invented the light. Ali became the heavyweight champion of the world. These people have been smiled upon by God, and I'm one of the chosen ones.
One of the most sensational finishes I've ever seen, and the Scot Ken Buchanan has lost the lightweight championship, and the ring is going wild as this 21-year-old Panamanian Roberto Duran being chaired and cheered all around the ring there.
Muhammad Ali said it the best. Don't fight a Latin fighter because they fight for God and country. Throughout history, religion and a deep-rooted faith in God has served as a foundation for all of the great Latin fighters. It is from this undying devotion to their beliefs that their courage and strength flourishes.
The difference between the Latin fighters and all the other fighters are fighting and the fighters that preceded them, the fight game at one time was the Irish fighting against the Italians, then there were the Jews and the blacks. But the Hispanics and the Latinos came in, we had a whole new ball game going. Because with the Hispanic fighters, the whole crowd becomes part of the fight. The Hispanic fighter, he goes back, anything in the ring is a fight. A cockfight is to the death. In the bull ring is to the death. In the Latino fighter, he's fighting like he's fighting to the death.
Combination to the head sends Lamone right through the ropes. Bazooka Lamone now.
The Latin fighters, I think, basically, they come to fight, and it's their, I think it starts with a lot of them with their pride, and I think that has a lot to do with it, even when they're, like, hurt.
They fight back.
They keep on coming, right? They keep on coming back, and they just don't want to go down.
They're just like the guy, you know, I hit him with a shot,
right.
And no sooner I hit him, he come back.
Yeah, I think that sums it up, yeah.
The Latin community view Spanish fighters like God, you know? You take me, for instance.
In the black trunks, at 134 3/4 pounds, from New York City, New York, Carlos Ortiz.
When I won the title here, I mean, I was considered like, you know, the president of the United States. When I went to Puerto Rico, and after winning the junior welterweight title here in 1959, I went over there and they gave me a parade. They even had the day named after me. So they really think a lot about a fighter if he makes it.
To people throughout the Spanish world, There's no hero like the matador, and there's no thrill like the bitter and glorious excitement of la fiesta brava, the daily conquest of death by death's enemy, courage.
When the Latin fighter comes into the ring, there's a procession that comes down the aisle. They're holding belts up like saint relics. They're coming down, and it's a ritual procession. It's like they're going to say mass or something. It's like it's religious. He comes into the ring and his head's bowed, and as soon as he gets in that ring, he starts bouncing and springing up and down. The flags are up, the Puerto Rican flag, Dominican Republic. The flags are there, and it's a sacrifice. It's like the sacrifice of the mass or something like that. And then they used to more than they do now. Just before the bell, the fighter would cross himself, and then there was that moment of calling on his God and calling on the strength that he needed. And usually in these fights, they were both kneeling in each corner. But that was a spirit, it was spiritual, and the crowd picks up on that. The crowd is in a frenzy, and then they're ready to fight, and God is with them. It's beautiful.
Roberto Duran is rough and tough. I think he's the greatest Latin fighter ever.
This is round 14 of the World Lightweight Championship fight. Ray Lampkin, the top-ranked lightweight, is the challenger in the black trunks. Roberto Duran, the champion.
We've got two very tired athletes out there. I would hate to be in their place right now, Don.
When I fought against Ray Lampkin, we were both staying in the same hotel in Panama. It was hard to continue making the 135 weight limit. I had to train hard and lose a lot of weight at that time. I think I was grouchy. That's why I said to him, I don't know whether it was at the hospital or maybe it was a few moments after the fight. Next time, I am going to kill you. But those are the things boxers say to each other. I didn't mean it literally.
He's lost a few pounds, too.
Roberto Duran! Down with a left hook, and that could be the ball game. Lampkin's head hit very hard when he went down. Ray Lampkin looking over, dazed, and Roberto Duran retains his World Lightweight Championship with a left hook that KOs a very game Ray Lampkin, and he is still out.
I never had been in the Orient before. I got to see what the Orient people are, the Japanese people, the great people, a great culture. We got into the fight, and with all this karate movement, I got to find out that my rich advantage, my high advantage, it was the best too. And I kept pressure on him, kept trying to hit him in the belly to drop his conditioning, and until I got the punching power to hit him right in the chin and finish the fight.
Alexis Arguello was a fighter I admired very much. He was disciplined and a great gentleman. He wasn't very big physically, but he hit very hard.
Remember, this is fifth round action. And the fourth right there again. And Arguello now is taking tremendous charge of this fight. The second knockdown. Again, it was the left that did it. Arguello stands in the neutral corner, just looking on. While expressing my admiration for both fighters, I must confess. Oh, that left! Oh, what a tremendous left hook by Arguello. Escalera's guard was down. Look at him. That's it. It's over now. Once again, the second time around. Arguello does it to Escalera in the 13th round. In another devastating fight two gladiators. No need to pour it on. That blood just spurted out before that left hook. It was horrible to see. And so, Escalera is rented once again a gory mess. And Arguello retains his championship. We've told you about that man's punching power.
In anything you got to be good at is you got to be, aside from conditioning, you got to be concentrated. And I think when Roberto is focused, you know, and in condition, I mean, he's just in a class by himself.
In Panama, the people were worried about me because they thought I couldn't beat Sugar Ray Leonard. So I was determined even more to train hard and beat Sugar Ray Leonard, and I did.
I would say that the first Duran-Leonard fight was one other of the 10 best that I saw in my life. This was before the boxing match, a psychological rivalry. This was something that I saw and that I don't see quite often in my life. Duran was a savage. Duran conquered the boxing fans of Canada with all his excitement and all his vigor and all what he represented about professional boxing. With all the mucho macho of the Latin American fighters, he came and conquered Canada. Leonard was, I think, intimidated. Leonard, being one of the greatest fighters that I ever saw in my life, was intimidated. I remember things, for example, Angelo Dundee asking me to tell the referee not to bring together the boxers at the beginning of the fight, as they usually do for the rules and recommendations, and some other things that I really knew that there was some psychological effects there. Well, we saw one of the greatest fights ever.
The referee is very ineffectual here. He has not been able to get him off. He's chasing him to the ropes. Duran with two shots. Free. He's got him in the ropes again. Padilla very ineffective. He cannot break him when he wants to. Padilla.
I think that Leonard made a mistake in his techniques in that fight because he gave in to Roberto Duran's style. And Roberto Duran was a killer. He went after the other guy just to beat him and destroy him and be the victor and be the new champion of the world. And he did it.
In the second fight with Leonard, they offered my manager a lot of money to take the fight right away. He made me fight before I was ready. He was giving me hormone injections to lose weight, and I just wasn't right. My stomach was bothering me throughout the fight, because before the fight, I was hungry, and I ate a hot steak and drank a cold glass of water. And during the fight, I had such bad cramps that I couldn't even move.
It is my opinion that the winner psychologically in the first fight was the winner in the ring. The winner psychologically in the second fight was also the winner in the ring. So we had two fights, psychological and athletic-wise. But I can say something. Roberto Duran is one of the proudest, most determined, most macho fighter that I have seen in my life.
From the opening bell, the rematch was strikingly different from the first fight. This time, Leonard was on the balls of his feet, sticking and moving, utilizing his 8-inch reach advantage and superior hand and foot speed, and beating Duran to the punch. Had they been dancing, and many Duran fans claimed that's what Leonard was doing, Duran would have been a beat behind the music. Ringside commentator Howard Cosell insightfully stated that Duran had been reduced to a charging bull. Following his last volley, Duran turned, waved his hands, and the rest is history.
The boxing fans of the world have said many, many times that when they go to see a Mexican boxer, they get 5 times at least what they pay for the ticket to go and see the boxing match.
On September 13, 1984, Chavez won his first title on a technical knockout over the valiant Mario Azabache Martinez. The fight was a brawl, but the young rising star was determined to make a name for himself. And with his superior strength, technique, and endurance, Chavez wore down the older Martinez, forcing the referee to stop the fight in the 8th round. In his quest for a second title, Chavez challenged the knockout artist Edwin Rosario. He outboxed and outclassed the Puerto Rican bomber and won a unanimous decision, proving to the boxing world that Julio Cesar Chavez is a force to be reckoned with. Salvador Sanchez was born in Santiago Tianguistenco, Mexico. He rose from poverty to the top of the boxing world when he won his first world title by stopping Danny Little Red Lopez in the 13th round.
Lopez with a great left hook, Tim. He knew it, and he's on the attack. Lopez is covering up well, however, on the ropes. A lot of blood from that cut over the right eye. Referee Schmidt has twice stopped the fight momentarily to have those cuts examined back in rounds 6 and 7.
Tim, hasn't this been a great fight, Tim?
Another terrific fight.
But you expect it with a Lopez.
Yes,
whenever
you do.
he goes to the bat. To me, he's a promoter's dream, a fight fan dream.
Round 13 live on the CBS Sports Spectacular from Phoenix, Arizona, and the challenger comes out swinging.
The left eye, he can't see the right hand coming, actually, Tim.
Good point.
And this kid's smart enough to take advantage of it.
He is hurt, isn't he?
He is really
Lopez is hurt. Sanchez, the referee's going to stop it. The referee's going to stop it. That's it. There is a new featherweight world champion. WBC version, Salvador Sanchez.
There have been many rivalries between countries in the sport of boxing, but arguably the greatest is between Mexico and Puerto Rico.
En malas condiciones. Zárate y va la lona. Y han detenido el encuentro, amigos. Se detiene el encuentro, la victoria para el puertorriqueño Wilfredo Gómez por la vía del knockout a los 2 minutos 16 segundos del quinto asalto.
His name came to us suddenly on August 21st, 1981, when he stepped into the ring at Caesar's Palace in Vegas, and in one of the most exciting matches of the decade, took World Boxing Association junior featherweight champ Wilfredo Gómez apart, bit by bit.
Introducing Wilfredo Gómez.
The ring record, 32-0-1, 32 straight knockouts.
The WBC featherweight champion of the world, the very popular Salvador Sanchez.
Sanchez with a record
That is compelling. 39, 1-1 with 29 KOs. Sanchez, though, going into the fight, a 2-1 underdog.
At the time, Gomez was touted by many as the game's top man, pound for pound. No boxing match has ever been seen by more Hispanics throughout the world.
Gomez has a deceptively long reach. Quick exchange took place there, and right there, from nowhere, came a Sanchez right, followed by a left. Suddenly had become a whirlwind in the very first round. In the beginning of Sanchez's career, he had started early. He took, as you could see there, quick advantage of the opponent, raking him with blows, pummeling him. And from this point on, a swelling could be detected growing on the Gomez right cheekbone, which later proved to have been broken. Quick, straight punches by Sanchez. Gomez was then retreating, seeking to hold on right there, but could not tie Sanchez up in the corner, getting pummeled some more. Padilla in close observation of the fighters. This was a different first round for Sanchez. Many more times than he connected. Right there, those 3 blows. Did you see them by Sanchez to the liver area? One of Sanchez's most potent weapons. And it took, or they took their toll on Gomez. Gomez was now more than desperate. He was tired, he was hurt, he was ready to go. And Sanchez knew it. Alertly, he closed in on the opponent and again started scoring at will, and only the ropes kept Gomez up. Right there, Padilla may have made a mistake. He may have waited too long, let it go too long, but it could go no longer. The count executed by referee Padilla, and then a look into the eyes of Gomez, and it was over. That's the way.
But on August 12, 1982, barely a year after this great victory, his name came to us all of a sudden from Mexico, with the awful news that his crown had been snatched away. No, he was not engaged in a furious exchange in the performance of his trade, nor was he preparing for his 10th title defense when the end came. The little giant had fallen to an automobile accident, the only thing that could have dethroned him.
When Salvador died and they laid him to rest, the cemetery was filled with about 20 to 25,000 people. We didn't fit. I remember the great boxer, Wilfredo Gomez. He came to the grave, he knelt down and was crying. He grabbed a handful of dirt and rubbed it on his hands in hopes of gaining some of Salvador's strength. And then Azuma Nelson, another boxer, came up. He knelt at the grave also crying, said a prayer, and also rubbed dirt on his hands.
Y por lo mismo, un puñado de tierra en las manos y eso.
My mother brought me up, I think, in the right way because I really respect humans. We should respect each other. It's not for what we do, it's for what we are. We're humans. We should know that respect among us, we all will bring peace with each other. And that night with Mancini, even though I was 29 years old, I knew I was fighting against a youngster, a younger guy, a guy that was hungry to give his father what his father never got, what the World War II took away from him. It was his title with Sami Anga. And he got drafted, he went to war, he never got the title shot. During the fight, I was displaying what became known of my brilliance is because I was a 15-round fighter, and Mancini was a 10-round fighter. And I was using my mastery and my reach advantage, my height advantage. And my trainer told me to knock him out because of the negative publicity that we got. But I got into the ring in the first round, and I tried him out, and he was strong like a bull. And I went back to my corner and said, forget about it, guys. He ain't no first round knockout. This kid is tough. When you hit the opponent in the body, you drop his conditioning. And as much the fight goes on, the fighter loses intensity and loses strength. I remember in the ninth round, I went out and tried his hands again, and I felt them weak. And I went back to my corner and said, hey guys, I got him. Now I got him. Let me work from now on.
Rembrandt must have painted like Alexis Arguello fought. The strokes of the master's brush were probably like slow-motion versions of the strong, patient movements of Arguello's hands during a fight. While fighting, Arguello's eyes were intense and inquiring, and as Rembrandt's must have been before attempting to paint a wisp of hair or the stubble of a beard. There's no rancor or hatred in Alexis Arguello's eyes. His are the eyes of an artist, not a fighter. Watching Arguello fight is like enjoying the subtleties of a great Renaissance masterpiece. There's rich color and detail in his performance. His jabs are straight, strong, and accurate. His body punches are delivered with care. His right crosses and left hooks are issued with awesome potency. And against Ray Mancini, Arguello displayed these talents by painting his canvas slowly and with precision.
To me, I knocked him out into a round, boom, boom. I hit him with the right hand, and I hit him, and he turned over, and he put the right knee on the canvas. And in the boxing business says when a boxer turns the back on you, he automatically wins. But the referee was Tony Perez, the moron. You know, Jesus Christ, I said, Tony, what are you them doing? The guy turned the back on me. And the guy said, Alexis, keep fighting. I don't want you to ruin your victory. I said, hell, man, I knocked the guy out. Keep fighting. The guy pushed me to keep hurting Mancini.
Overhand right. That big right hand, and lost his sense of direction. That's what happens when you get knocked out. You lose all your senses of direction. Also the legs going. You can see that he's got very strong legs, and he still takes a good punch because he did not go all the way down. The only part of his body that hit the canvas was his knee. As Italians go, he does take a very good punch.
I have to keep lowering the boom boom. I have to keep doing it. That was the job to be done. Right? I went up 2 more rounds, and in the 14th round, I have to put such a combination that you Americans know that combination. It was a jab, left hook, an uppercut with a right hand, and a straight right to the jaw.
And it appears that the champion has turned the tide from about the midway point in this fight. He landed a big left hook.
He's hurt badly this time.
Down he goes. Right hand sent him down, but it was 2 strong lefts, and that's it. Tony Perez says that's enough.
Rightly so, Tim. He was hurt badly. There's no sense letting it go on any further.
You two guys are a credit to what it's all about. Here is the challenger, Ray Mancini. Come on in here.
Good.
That's what we're talking about.
Thank you,
Ray Mancini.
I love you, Father.
That's the most beautiful thing you have. Like I have my father. Take good care of you. You're going to be a good promise. And I promise, if I can do something for you, let me know, please.
Thank you.
Okay?
When they used to say, Carlos, you're ready to go upstairs, I used to say, wait a second. I got to go to the bathroom. So, and that was, I mean, if you want to feel scared, get into boxing and let them call you to go up to the ring and to start your fight. You'll see how scared you get.
What happened that, I got into the fight with the desire to become the first Latin fighter to become four-time champion, and I wanted it to win the title. But I never thought of the recovering of Pryor.
30-year-old Alexis Arguello, 27-year-old Aaron Pryor. Arguello coming in at 138.5, Pryor at 140. And as expected, Pryor throwing the first punches of the fight. Non-stop action from him at all times in black trunks with gold trim. The taller Alexis Arguello in blue velvet. A right hand scored by Arguello, the best punch of the early going. He wobbled Pryor.
I remember in the ninth round, I hit Pryor with a couple of shots.
They both look like they've lost a little snap, and just as I said it, a big right hand by Arguello, and another one.
Trying to follow up Arguello on the attack. Again, Pryor, clear-eyed, quickly back into control. Arguello scored well late in the 8th round, and here in the 9th, starting to get some of those famous right hands in.
I was expecting some reaction of him going down and thing, and when I hit the guy, he was coming madder. He was getting madder. Instead of me hurting him, I would piss him off. Even though there were many things alleged that happened, like things that I never got to use, drugs and things like that.
Give me another thing. Give me another bottle. The one I mixed. Okay? Come on.
All of a sudden, the guy throws so many punches that knocked me out, and people say that I've gotten hurt. I was feeling good.
You think he still believes that that's possible, the intelligent, thoughtful fighter Alexis Arguello, that he could still land one punch and Pryor pounding away his wobbled Arguello. He's got him in trouble. A right hand into the ropes. Arguello in trouble.
Well, we know Pryor's a great finisher when he gets you hurt.
Yes, he is. This one's going to be over. Arguello trying to survive on the ropes, and that's it. A knockout score.
But I was feeling the effect of the punches that he hit me with. And I just remember that I laid on the floor and that was over.
In the public's eye, Roberto Duran was perceived as an over-the-hill fighter until June 16, 1983, when he destroyed the young undefeated champion Davey Moore in Madison Square Garden. Duran's knockout of his opponent put him in the elite class of 3-time world boxing champions and forever erasing the humiliation of the no mas fight.
In my career, I've had a lot of difficult fights, but I think my toughest one was with Meldrick Taylor.
I believe that the Meldrick Taylor and Julio Cesar Chavez had some special things to make it very attractive for the American as well as the Mexican and Latin American public. You had Meldrick Taylor coming from the Olympic Games, a gold medalist, in the hands of people that had taken him very carefully, very successfully, and becoming one of the most outstanding American fighters. You had Julio Cesar Chavez, who's been qualified by the world as the best fighter of the time, pound per pound. But at the same time, it was a classical fight. It is the fight of the excellency in boxing against the courageous and tremendous puncher. And those are the fights that really are the classical fights, because you can never tell what style is going to win. Is the boxer going to defeat the puncher, or the puncher is going to stop the boxer? We had a tremendously close fight. People didn't see the hooks to deliver, the tremendous punching of Julio Cesar Chavez. But we also saw the speed of Meldrick Taylor, the moving around in the ring, the hitting Chavez 4-2. When the fight was close to the end, everybody knew that the decision was going to be very difficult. The people that like punchers had Chavez ahead by 1 or 2 points. The people that like boxers had Taylor ahead by 1 or 2 points. I was very concerned.
45 seconds remain in the final round. And if you're a boxing fan, Alex, this makes up for a lot of 93-second knockouts.
Dan, they started out with a lot of respect for each other, and there in the final seconds, you saw and Taylor wobbled by a right hand.
Chavez, look at Meldrick Taylor trying to get in close and hang on, and Meldrick Taylor goes down. Meldrick Taylor is down.
He will beat the count, and he will survive this round, it appears. You can be saved by the bell in the final round. He's stopping it. He stopped the fight.
No, he's being attacked.
Unbelievable.
Richard Steele stops the fight. 3 seconds left on the clock. Oh, Richard Steele in an unbelievable move stops the fight.
Unbelievable.
Meldrick Taylor lost perspective of what he should do. Instead of trying to stay away from Julio Cesar Chavez, as he was doing it in the first rounds, in the first 11 rounds, I think that his pride made him try to counterpunch Chavez, to stop and punch Chavez back. That was his mistake, because when you have a tremendous puncher, a murderer, and man with the heart of Julio Cesar Chavez, you cannot do that. Chavez knocked him down, and Taylor got up because of his heart. I congratulate and I commend Richard Steele, the referee, for having stopped the fight, because no victory in the world can counter the risking of the life of a boxer. That's what the people cannot understand. They say, why 2, 3, 4 seconds? In 2, 3, 4 seconds, we could have had a killing.
He was not going to do anything but get hurt more.
Were you aware of how much time was left in the round?
No, I wasn't aware of the time. And, I really didn't care about the time because of the simple fact, I felt that he had enough.
Richard, there's a red light flashing right in that corner where Meldrick Taylor was. Were you aware that the red light was flashing, signaling 10 seconds left?
No, I wasn't. I was looking at Meldrick's eyes, his condition. That's the main thing I was interested in.
Did you ask him anything and not get a response? Was there anything you said?
Yes, I asked him, was he all right? He didn't say a thing.
Julio, do you have a reaction to the referee's decision to stop the fight?
Que si tienes alguna reacción con respecto a la decisión del referee.
Estuvo muy mal el último porque Taylor estaba en pésimas condiciones y no iba a dejar salir.
Yeah, it was bad because Taylor wasn't feeling very good and he was going to let it continue.
Es cuando un peleador se lastima y puede haber un accidente.
That's when boxers get hurt and could be a big accident.
Me extraño de Richard Steele, un hombre que tiene mucha experiencia.
And Mr. Richard Steele is a very experienced man.
Meldrick Taylor was knocked out on his feet. If he would have received one other punch, only God knows what would have happened that night.
Let it not be said that dreams do not come true. Roberto Duran, with his heart and determination, wrote himself into boxing history as being one of only 3 boxers to win 4 or more world boxing titles by moving up in weight class and defeating champion Iran the Blade Barkley on February 24th, 1989.
When I went to fight Iran Barkley, again, many of my own countrymen were saying that I could never beat him, that I was washed up. Even the press in the United States was saying that I was finished and that I would never beat Iran Barkley. But that made me more determined. And I told him, I'm going to beat you. And I did.
But what doesn't show on the tail of the tape is experience and length of time of throwing punches and absorbing them. Alexis Arguello has been a professional 8 years longer than Pryor, has had a total of 50 more professional fights.
The second fight, it was kind of the same thing. We went to Vegas and Caesar Palace, and I still wanted it to win.
Aaron is a fighter with speed, power, stamina, and a tremendous heart. There are questions, too, about the great Alexis Arguello as well. You're looking at him right now. Most people feel he's in the best shape possible at this stage of his career. But at age 31, after reported 83 pro fights, how much does he have left? And mentally, has he been able to erase the memory of the terrible beating he took in the first fight?
I still felt that I could win the fight. I could win my fourth title.
And with that sound, this championship bout is underway in his usual. Pryor in the white trunks, the champion, the junior welterweight champion, comes out fast, trying to smother the much taller Alexis Arguello. Unloading early, Aaron Pryor. WBA rules, 10-point must, 3 judges. And Alexis Arguello is not standing for any of the smothering. 3 inches taller. Let's see how loose he can be. And on his trunks with the American flag, down goes Arguello. He caught a sneak right hand. And his eyes are like roulette wheels. Time may take its toll right tonight. And the fight of November. Here's the mandatory 8 count. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect for this WBA championship fight. We're in the first round. 1 knockdown already. Arguello fighting back.
And I got up, and I kept fighting. And I still hit the guy in the chin, and it still, instead of hurting him, it still got mad.
A lot of shoulder movement, hand movement. That was a glancing right hand by Arguello. And Arguello trying to throw more left hooks. Pryor looking at the crowd and not at the punches. He snapped away from a sizzling right hand. Arguello now turning on the power, and Pryor is just smiling.
That was something was going wrong.
Punch to the body, and then the head will go. But Pryor now on his biggest attack, and with it he is down again, a left hook.
I got up and I kept fighting. I wanted to knock the guy out.
Arguello started fast, but now he's allowing his left hand to drop down at his hip, and he's being caught with right hands. But he comes back. And Pryor in trouble now, back in the far corner. Another low blow. And he is smiling.
I wanted to win the title still. But in the 10th round.
And it's punches like that that could do it. 5 solidly landed punches, and there's another one. And against the ropes, Pryor trying, and down goes Arguello. Round 10. Just too many. He looks absolutely exhausted. Richard Steele right in his ear. This may be the end of a great career.
Keep counting. Hurry up, buddy. I'm taking too much in here for no reason, because anytime I hit this guy, it's no effect. My punches hadn't hurt this guy. And I'm pissing him off.
I think me and Alexis knew that going in that we wanted to make this our last fight, and we fought. That's why we fought the fight we did. He won 3 titles. In boxing, he leaves the arena going home with 3 titles. I'm leaving the ring going home, never been beat in my life. And I think it was just a great fight, and I really thank you for that fight, man. And
you're a great champion, and if you keep doing boxing, you still have to show the people how good you are, and take good care of yourself.
Thank you, man.
I do my best. You're a good fighter.
Thank you.
Alexis coming off the deck twice. We've covered many of your fights. You gave it your very all. Is this your last?
Yes. So I had a cut before, and I do it right now. I'm throwing my good friend Pryor. I quit.
You have no reason to weep. It should be tears of joy, Alexis, because you have been a tremendous champion, as the winner tonight has said to you. And Aaron, we have to congratulate you. You're a tremendous undefeated 140-pounder.
We'll go home to our kids.
Good luck to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you, man.
After Alexis's second loss to Pryor, he retired from boxing to fight for Nicaragua in his country's civil war. He fought for the Contras, seeking to overthrow the Sandinista government in Nicaragua.
By then, I thought that my country needed a change because regimes, they never have worked in the past. And I felt the need to do that. But the upset for me was when the Sandinista, from being a nationalist, they changed to communism. And I hate communism. You can see the Russian, the Berlin Wall destroyed, the Russian Empire they destroyed because communism, they never been able to work. And I did it because, like I said, Nicaragua needed a change. This plate in here is my younger brother, Eduardo. He was killed in the revolution. My father is still looking for my brother. He's still looking for him because he was a nice kid. They got killed within the revolution, and I heard they dumped his body on the common forces that every war get, you know. They don't know who killed him, but they said it was the Somoza guard. They killed him because he was a Sandinista. He believed in what the Sandinista spoke about him, you know, but I don't believe on them because I don't believe in communism.
He became disillusioned with the war and all politicians. His finances collapsed into complete disarray. So as the lyrics in the play, a chorus line go, a dancer dances and a fighter fights.
A couple of events took place in a dressing room. Like perhaps it was a psychological way of trying to take my concentration away, that his manager came to my dressing room to claim that I was doing wrongdoings in my hands, which is wrong. I fought in the States many, many times. I fought in Japan, all over the world. And I never got a complaint. No commission was, because I always knew where to put the tape. You cannot put it under the knuckle. You have to put it an inch behind the knuckles. I knew it, but they were trying to hurt me psychologically. Then I remember that I went to the ring and I got mad, I got pissed. I felt something that I have, in order for me to win, I have to bring something that I really got to understand. When you play the sport, losing control, becoming what exists inside of us, the beast, is which each one of us has a beast inside of us. But the boxing business is when you do it, you want to do it. You feel that you're doing it without bringing the beast. That means keeping you cool, keeping fighting because of the sport.
Oh, there it is. Right hand, right down the pipe. It was answered. There's the big punch. Billy Costello with Mills Lane counting over him. And he is up. Remember, he went down 5 times and has lost to Lightning Lonnie Smith before they stopped him in the 8th.
He got nailed, and he's hurt badly, Tim.
Alexis Arguello in round 4.
Well,
trying to finish him.
We mentioned that Arguello had to land a big punch, and he did.
Costello trying to survive over there, wobbly-legged, punching back, but Arguello keeping up the pressure, and they've stopped it in round 4. Mills Lane steps in, and Alexis Arguello with a 4th round stoppage of Billy Costello.
I remember seeing my face in the screen in a rerun that I saw that beast in me. And in order for me to win that night, I have to bring that beast. And I don't want to see that beast anymore on me. Because for me to be able to win, I have to bring that beast again. I didn't like that beast on me. And that was the night that I decided to quit, to retire from boxing. First, because I was 33 years old. That was the time that I won my first title, when Oliveira was the same age. He was 33 years old, I was 21 years old. I was going to 21. And I said, this is enough for me. I spent 22 years of my life I tried to do what no Latin men have done. I did the best. I defended my 3 world championships 19 times. That's enough. And I did it, and I'm quite happy. You know, I enjoyed being in here, retire, and I did enjoy my career. Like I said, if I'm born again, I'll do it again.
Alexis Arguello.
Well, the reason for me to build this gym was to give my Nicaraguan children's opportunity to make the same way I made it in the boxing business. But as a Nicaraguan, I had the responsibility to build something like this because I respect my sport. And I love this so much that I want every Nicaraguan guy to learn and to be the same way I was. Boxing business, it can be used in these third world countries like mine because the world needs industries. And boxing is a good industry as long as we educate the poor people, what it is, what it means to us, what it means to them. It's just to make a living. The reason I think the boxing should be a little more guidance toward these countries because of the hunger. Through sport, we can put the whole world together to compete. And this is what we are trying to teach in here. Not only to become boxer, but to learn how to compete with each other, how to be able to play the sport of boxing as a true sport, as a true industry, because the world is built out of industries. And then here, we're forming not only athletes, but decent human beings, because I believe that the sport, like the old saying says, is clean body and clean mind.
If I was to do it all over again, I would do it exactly like I did it during my career. I wouldn't change a thing. I enjoyed myself what I was doing, and I guess I must have done it right because I was champion of the world for about 10 years in 2 divisions, and that is all an athlete ever wants to be, a champion. Once he's champion, that means that he made it. I made it for 10 years, and I'm satisfied. I wouldn't change anything.
To a kid, I would say the following. To get into boxing is one of the best things that can happen to a young man. To be a good boxer, you have to be smart and intelligent. Not a bully nor a criminal. You must have honor, dignity, and respect for yourself and your fellow man. There are a lot of people in this world that will try to manipulate young people. Be aware of them. Don't let anyone take away your honor, dignity, or self-respect. Don't fall into their traps. Be a champion with a sane and healthy mind.
If a young boy wants to become a champion, he has to understand that it's difficult and tough. You have to have lots of desire, and dedication, and enthusiasm. You have to make lots of sacrifices, but it's not impossible. You must educate yourself and work hard, but most importantly, you must love the sport. To be the best at anything you do, you have to love what you're doing. You have to want it, love it, and give it everything you have. You have to realize your dream and go after it.
The only thing I can tell a young boy who wants to be a boxer, there are many other things in life other than boxing. You don't have to be a boxer to be something great. But if you can't do anything but boxing, before you do anything in sports, I don't care what sport it is, the first thing you have to do is love and respect your mother. In your life, your mother should come first, second, third, fourth, because there's a lot of fathers out there, but only a few mothers. If you are not successful in boxing, I think you should go to school and study hard, because tomorrow you could become a lawyer, doctor, even a president. You can be the one to make the difference. You can be a man with a great future, and you don't have to depend on boxing to make a living. Because your future can be in many different things. Tomorrow, you can be the greatest artist. With education, you can be anything. That's what I would tell a child. Also, the main thing I would tell them is don't mess with drugs. Drugs are bad. Drugs will only hurt you. It's sad that there's a lot of boxers walking the streets today because of drugs. There's a lot of other people, not only boxers, who because of drugs become crazy and homeless. It's devastating what drugs can do to people. That's the advice I would give to a young kid.
Well, it's a tough business, but if they decide to box, to do it the right way, to take care of themselves, to be away from drugs, like the old saying, tell me who you're with, and I'm telling you who you are. Hang around with the right people, surround yourself with the right people, do the right thing, pay a lot of attention to your parents, because they're really important in your life. And be a little more concerned about ourselves, about our life, and try to build the society that the world wants to be able to build. A society in which we all understand each other, we're supposed to love each other, and we all, guys like my age, we have to give love to the future generation to be able to change our future generations. Give them love. Don't kick them, don't give them bad habits. Let's try to make a decent world in which we all gonna be happy and proud if we'll do it. And if we don't do it, we're gonna be sorry. We might as well start now. Let's try to change this. I think we have capacity to do it. Let's just put a little bit of ourselves to identify to everybody that we're only humans. This is our world. Let's take care of it. Let's take care of each other. Let's love each other. And let's make a good, decent world.
Well, this is how I started. That's how life is here. The best boxers in the world come from gyms like this one, because they are the hungry ones, the poor ones. These kids become boxers because they are looking for a way out through the sport. They are sane people. They are good people who prefer being boxers than being thieves or murderers. The majority of all Latin boxers give thanks to God, because although we come from places like this, we've learned to appreciate the things He has given us. The only person in the whole world who helps us is God, and no one else. In life, you need to have faith before anything else, and stay away from drugs. They can kill you.
We all know that boxing is going through a difficult period, and with the rise of the economics involved, this could continue to escalate. But I invite you all to focus on the positive aspects of this sport and the art of boxing. Remember how two men, after a tremendous battle, embrace after the final bell as a sign of respect and mutual admiration. This shows the nobility of the sport, a nobility that I'm afraid has since been lost in our society. Thank you.
Somebody's crazy dream. say